But before we get into the gambling, I'm going to run through my quick memory for the year. This is day three of 366 days. Today's memory is getting to see the original flute from the episode Inner Light from Star Trek: The Next Generation. Uh, as you can see, I've got the comic books behind me. I'm a comic book geek. In addition to that, I've always been a Star Trek geek. Um, Pretty much all science fiction. I love Star Wars. Love lots of different. If it the Matrix, if you want to count that science fiction and all that. But I watch Star Trek a lot. All the series, and the Inner Light is possibly my favorite episode from anywhere. It's a great episode where, if you haven't seen it, if you're not a Star Trek fan, you can still check out this episode because it is pretty much a standalone that does have repercussions throughout the rest of the series at times. But it's just a great story where Picard gets kind of a strange probe reaches out and connects to his head, and Picard starts living this life inside his head. And over the course of the episode, he lives this entire life. He lives into his 90s, 80s, 90s. Eventually believes that the Enterprise was just a, uh, a dream of his, a fever dream, and that his what he's experiencing now is real. And he goes through this whole life, and it's just really, really fascinating to watch the character change and his interest in the stars and his the whole life that he leads. And at the very end, it's revealed that the planet is about to be destroyed, and then they admit to him when he's in his 90s in his alternate reality that yeah, no, okay, you remember the probe, and then he comes to and finds out that it's only been like 10 minutes of time has elapsed on the bridge of the Enterprise. And when they open up the probe shuts down, and when they open up the probe, there's a small box. And over the course of his life in this other realm, he had taken up playing the flute. Uh, so he had started learning the flute and became, self proficient and enjoyed it. Found it to be a very enjoyable pastime for him. And and when they open up the probe, there's a little box with this flute in it, and he kind of it appears in some other episodes, and references are made in there. But I've always loved just the idea of that flute. And one time during a visit to St. Louis, K Rock and I were in St. Louis, and it without any real planning on our part, it just so happened that there was a traveling show that was going all across the country, celebrating the Star Trek: The Next Generation 25th anniversary year, and we were able to go. So we went to this museum in St. Louis, and got to go to the show. And there was all kinds of awesome things from the Wrath of Khan and the original series, and Kirk outfits and horror outfits, and Khan, the Khan's outfit from the Wrath of Khan. So they were all there. They were all on display, various models of the different ships. There were other cool things too, like you were able to. They had rebuilt and recreated an exact replica of the bridge of the Enterprise D. So it was exactly like it was on the shows with the captain's chair and the bridge. The whole bridge was exactly like it was. You get a picture taken there, and there was all kinds of fun stuff like that. But one of the things they had on display the original flute from the Inner Light, and it was so crazy, man. Like I actually teared up seeing it because it was so. It was there with the write up. It was in a replica of Picard's uh, Picard's quarters. His own quarters. And you couldn't go up. You couldn't touch it. You couldn't get near it and all that. But it was one of the one. I guess there were 6 flutes or something like that were made for the episode, and this was one of the ones that was used in the episode. So it's a geeky memory, but it's one of the ones I'll never forget. So there you go. Now on to gambling.